Hi, welcome to my channel. I hope that I'll be able to pass along some information about these fantastic creatures, bearded dragons, to all of you. First, some housekeeping. Those of you that are internet trolls, move along. This is not the channel for you. You will just be blocked, muted, and whatever else we can do. So run along to the next channel. For the rest of you, welcome. This is Finian. Finian is one of 3 bearded dragons I currently have. He's the mommy's boy. He's fantastic. He's about 6 years old. And, you know, he's just an all-around great guy. He's also a mommy's boy, but don't tell him you know that. This is Finian's lair, which is also the name of the channel, but this is where he lives. This is his enclosure. What I'm hoping to do is reach as many of you new bearded dragon owners as possible, or those of you that are trying to decide, gee, they're really cute, but do I really want one? Do I know how to take care of one? Like, what can I do? Well, we're going to go over all of that. I have rescued bearded dragons for some time now, and so I want to share with you what I learned the hard way, what I learned through research, what I learned that is all over the industry that turned out to not necessarily be the truth. I remember what it was like being a new bearded dragon owner and wanting so badly to do everything right and not knowing exactly what right looked like. So, with the help of Finian here, I will tell you, Finian was one of the first dragons I ever rescued. He was already technically full-sized. He was an adult, about 14 months old when I got him. You know, his owners had a few reptiles and found their circumstances in life had changed and they just couldn't devote the amount of time that they needed. So, at that time, I was looking for a bearded dragon. I had always wanted one, but when my kids were little, I just couldn't devote the time they needed either. So, he came along right when I was hoping that there would be one. And I mean, really, is this not a face for you to love? Look how adorable this face is. I mean, this is an adorable face. So, when Finian got here, even though he was an adult, he was around just under 400 grams. But, you know, he arrived and I was told he didn't like vegetables except cactus leaf, and he hated his bath, and he'd always been sort of on the small side. Well, I'm here to tell you Finian is now 643 grams and loves his bath. In fact, he will sit and sleep in it if given an opportunity. And is not that crazy about cactus leaf. I've never been able to get him to eat it. He does like a lot of other vegetables. And he has an unusual affinity for cranberries, which is tough because you have to get them frozen because they're seasonal if you can't, you know, get them during this time of year. So, but he's taught me an awful lot about dragons. Because I do rescues, I work pretty closely with a lot of the bearded dragon community and with the veterinarian to find out everything that I could, to find out the best way to help them. I'm happy to say that I've only actually lost one dragon to an upper respiratory infection that just didn't respond to medication, and he finally just passed, and all I could do was hold him while he passed, which was terrible. So I want to give you guys all that information too, so that hopefully that won't happen to any of you. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about, you know, your enclosures. What should they look like? What do you need to do? We'll talk about lighting and heat sources, what that looks like. And we're going to talk about, you know, should you get a male or a female? Should you get a hatchling, a juvenile, a subadult, or an adult? What does it look like when they're not feeling well? What kind of things can happen? What are the appropriate feeders to give them for their insect load? What happens if you have a picky eater and you're having a hard time get them to eat? Are there ways to still get them the nutrients? Yes, there absolutely are. There are a few pet tubers on YouTube that do a really good job, in my opinion, and I will definitely reference them in the description so that you can kind of take a peek at some of their videos. Animal One Guy, that's Animal One, the number one guy, GUI, does a really good bunch of videos. He does also reptile rescue, all types of reptiles. So that's a really good overview channel to get a lot of information. I think he currently has 4 bearded dragons and a few other, several other reptiles. So he has good information. He has one particular video on lighting that I think everyone should see, because there are a lot of controversial things that are sort of perpetually going around the industry. But the reality is, when you can see somebody that's doing the experiment actually on camera and is able to use a solar meter and can really measure the Ferguson output from the lights, you find out some things that, the industry doesn't always want to acknowledge, I think. So he has excellent videos. We're also going to talk about, what happens when they shed? What happens when they're getting ready for brumation? Should you put clothes on them, yes or no? Should you take them out into the world? Should you let them free roam in your home? Should you let other people pet your bearded dragon? Should your bearded dragon become a therapy animal? All of these questions are going to be answered in a series of videos. So, this is a new channel, as you can probably tell. Yes, I kiss my dragons, and no, I don't get sick. So if you'd like to have a front row seat for all of those topics and all the things we're going to cover, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm not doing this for any monetizing prospect. I am doing this because, as someone who rescues dragons, I would love to get to the point where all of the information that all of you need to take care of your dragons for their entire lifetime is available to you. Because if I could go out of business and never have to rescue because there aren't any more dragons to rescue, that will be a wonderful day. These are wonderful, docile, sweet, fantastic pet little creatures. And 95% of the rescues that I've had to do because of husbandry problems. Not necessarily because people are meaning to do it. That's not what I'm saying. It's because they don't have the information. They didn't do the research. They were given incorrect information, or a variety of other things that they didn't even know that they were doing incorrectly. Well, these creatures don't meow, and they don't bark, and they don't bleat, and they don't neigh. So if you don't do the research to find out what they need, they have no way of telling you until the damage is done. Either, they've got deformed bones because they didn't have what they needed, because the owner didn't realize, yes, you need UVB and you need calcium. And you need calcium with D3 occasionally. They didn't realize that you have to give them live feeders. You can't give them freeze-dried. That would be like you and I eating beef jerky 100% of the time. And so could we live on it? Yes, probably. Are we going to thrive on it? No, we're not going to thrive on it because there are other things we need. So I do have another little rescue that I've been rehabbing now since earlier this spring. And she's a prime example of what happens when you're not getting the right nutrients. And we'll talk about her also in another video. You'll get to meet all 3 of the dragons ultimately. But as you can see, Finn loves his enclosure. He's trying really desperately hard to get in it. So, you'll also see that because I have rescues, I have very differing types of tanks. Some are a little bigger, some are a little smaller. Most of them have paper towel substrate, some of them have a carpet. It kind of depends on the dragon and what their individual needs are. And that's another thing that I really want to emphasize. Each individual dragon has its own individual needs. So it's really important that you don't just get a dragon and go, oh, well, that's what the book says. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that it says about people too. Like, okay, they all need air and water and, sunshine and food. But does that mean we all need the same food and the same level of everything? Of course not. Well, it's the same thing for our little friends, the reptile community. I have to tailor individually to each dragon because when they come in, they're in varying degrees of distress. So, some are not so bad. Some are very, 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 very serious. Finn was a little small for his age, but he caught right up within a few months. Just in, altering what he was getting and what he needed and, getting him the right kind of enclosure and, the things that were important for Finn. Ruby was very, 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 very small. And she does have a little bit of stunted growth and she has a little bit of MBD in one arm. But that was minor compared to really what should have happened to her because of how she was treated. So, yes, I'm talking about you. So, and Merlin, I got as a 3-gram weighing hatchling. Now, for reference, a piece of paper weighs 2 grams. So when I say he was tiny, I mean he was tiny. He's now 507 grams, so he caught right up. But, these guys really do need certain things from their people. And really, if you decide to bring a dragon home, they're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful creatures to have around. But when you do that, you take the responsibility of making sure that they have what they need for their optimal well-being. That's the least that they should expect. So, we're going to go over all of that in a series of videos. And so, hopefully, you'll stick around. If you don't want to subscribe, that's okay too. If you would like to, just hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified every time a new video goes up. And if you'd like to, or someone that could use this information that's thinking about getting a bearded dragon or is a new beardy owner, and by the way, they're bearded dragons, but you're going to hear me most of the time refer to them as dragons because, I don't know, I don't like the word beardy. And frankly, they deserve all the prestige and the mystique of being a dragon because they are just that fantastic. So, but as I was saying, if you know anyone that could benefit from any of the videos, please forward the information. Again, my goal is to disseminate the information as far and wide as possible so that when the time comes and people have selected their dragon and have brought them home, that it will be a wonderful experience for both them and their dragon, and that they'll understand that, it's a 15 to 20 year commitment if everything goes correctly and everything goes well, and that they're prepared to do that. So, that's kind of what's happening right now. Finian, why are you standing in your dish? It's not helpful. So, on that note, we will see you in the future videos. You're going to get to see Finn a lot because he's my favorite, but don't tell the others. So, say goodbye to our family and friends, Finian. Say bye-bye. See you next time.